Welcome to tonight's live horror story. I'm so pumped you're all here. We're doing something different tonight. A 90-minute psychological thriller that's going to mess with your head. So here's the setup. I'm home alone tonight, just chilling on the couch, scrolling through social media. You know the drill. It's about 9 p.m., kinda dark outside, pretty quiet neighborhood. Just me and you guys hanging out. How's everyone doing tonight? Anyone else home alone right now? Anyway, I was just thinking about ordering some food when... Oh, hold on guys, my phone's ringing. That's weird. The caller ID says, wait, that can't be right. It's showing my number. Like, my own phone number is calling me. That's... How does that even work? Has this ever happened to any of you guys? Getting a call from your own number? I mean, I should probably answer it, right? Maybe it's some kind of technical glitch or something. Hello? Hello? Anyone there? And they hung up. Weird. Probably just some telemarketer spoofing my number or something. I've heard that happens. Sorry about that, guys. Where was I? Oh yeah, thinking about food. You know what? Let me Google this phone thing real quick. I'm curious now. Okay, so apparently it's called neighbor spoofing, when scammers use numbers similar to yours, but calling from your exact number. That's less common. Says here it could be a technical glitch with the phone network, or anyone in chat know about this stuff? IT people, help me out here. Or it could be someone who's cloned your SIM card, which is actually kind of scary when you think about it. Like, they'd have access to all your calls and texts and... Oh, come on. Same number again. Guys, this is definitely my number calling me. I can see it right there on the screen. You know what? I'm gonna let it ring. Maybe if I ignore it, they'll just give up. It's still going. Usually goes to voicemail after 5 rings. Finally. Okay, that was definitely longer than normal. My voicemail should have picked up by now. Let me check if they left a message. Nope. No voicemail. That's actually kind of creepy, not gonna lie. Alright guys, I'm trying not to let this get to me, but it's definitely weird, right? Like I keep thinking about what I read. Horror story. I'm so pumped you're all here. We're doing something different tonight. A 90-minute psychological thriller that's going to mess with your head. So here's the setup. I'm home alone tonight, just chilling on the couch, scrolling through social media. You know the drill. It's about 9 p.m., kinda dark outside, pretty quiet neighborhood. Just me and you guys hanging out. How's everyone doing tonight? Anyone else home alone right now? Anyway, I was just thinking about ordering some food when... Oh, hold on guys, my phone's ringing. That's weird. The caller ID says, wait, that can't be right. It's showing my number. Like, my own phone number is calling me. That's... How does that even work? Has this ever happened to any of you guys? Getting a call from your own number? I mean, I should probably answer it, right? Maybe it's some kind of technical glitch or something. Hello? Hello? Anyone there? And they hung up. Weird. Probably just some telemarketer spoofing my number or something. I've heard that happens. Sorry about that, guys. Where was I? Oh yeah, thinking about food. You know what? Let me Google this phone thing real quick. I'm curious now. Okay, so apparently it's called neighbor spoofing, when scammers use numbers similar to yours, but call in from your exact number. That's less common. Says here it could be a technical glitch with the phone network, or anyone in chat know about this stuff? IT people, help me out here. Or it could be someone who's cloned your SIM card, which is actually kind of scary when you think about it. Like, they'd have access to all your calls and texts and... Oh, come on. Same number again. Guys, this is definitely my number calling me. I can see it right there on the screen. You know what? I'm gonna let it ring. Maybe if I ignore it, they'll just give up. It's still going. Usually goes to voicemail after 5 rings. Finally. Okay, that was definitely longer than normal. My voicemail should have picked up by now. Let me check if they left a message. Nope. No voicemail. That's actually kind of creepy, not gonna lie. Alright guys, I'm trying not to let this get to me, but it's definitely weird, right? Like I keep thinking about what I read online. Someone cloning your phone. That means they could be listening to us right now. Should I be worried? This is starting to freak me out a little. I mean, it's probably nothing. Just some technical glitch. Phone companies mess up all the time. Remember when everyone got that emergency alert by mistake last year? Actually, you know what's really bothering me? How long it rang. It's like whoever was calling knew my voicemail settings. Knew exactly how long to let it ring before hanging up. Oh God, not again. Same number. Guys, I think I should answer it this time. Get to the bottom of this. What do you think? Should I answer it or keep ignoring it? Okay. Most of you are saying answer it. Here goes nothing. Hello? Who is this? I can hear you breathing. What do you want? Hello? Whisper. Different pitch. What the? Did you just... That sounded exactly like... Hello? Is anyone there? Still whispered. Who is this? How are you doing that? Guys, that voice. That was my voice. Not similar, not close. That was my voice asking, hello, is anyone there? In the exact same way I always say it. Did you guys hear that too? Please tell me you heard that. Okay, I need to think about this logically. Voice synthesis technology is getting really good nowadays. Maybe someone recorded me from a previous call, or from social media videos, and they're using AI to replicate my voice. But why? What's the point? Is this some kind of elaborate prank? Are they trying to scam me somehow? I'm gonna check the locks on my doors. Not because I'm scared, just, you know, being careful. Front doors locked, kitchen doors locked, all the windows are closed, everything's secure. Anyone else getting really creeped out by this? The chat's going crazy. I know, right? This is some serious psychological horror stuff. Like, imagine if this was happening to you for real. Someone calling you with your own voice. Are you kidding me? 3rd time. Same number. You know what? I'm done playing games. I'm answering this and I'm gonna demand some answers. Listen, I don't know who you are or what kind of sick game this is, but I want you to stop calling me. Why aren't you answering? Calm, clear. What do you mean, why aren't I answering? I just answered. You're sitting on your blue couch, wearing that gray hoodie with the coffee stain on the sleeve. What did you just say? The stain from this morning, when you spilled your coffee reaching for your phone. How do you know that? You keep touching the stain when you're nervous. You're touching it right now. I wasn't. Your laptop is open on the coffee table. 17 browser tabs. You never close your tabs. Stop it. Stop it. How are you seeing this? Guys, everything they just said was true. Everything. The hoodie, the stain, the laptop tabs. How is that possible? Poll time. What's really happening here? A. Someone's watching me. B. This is supernatural. C. I'm losing my mind. Okay, the poll results are split. Half of you think someone's watching me, which I've checked all the windows. There's nowhere someone could see in from outside. Some of you think it's supernatural, which honestly, at this point I'm not ruling anything out. And a few of you think I'm having some kind of breakdown, which maybe I am going crazy. Maybe the stress finally got to me and I'm talking to myself. But you guys heard it too, right? The voice. It wasn't just in my head. Please tell me you heard the voice too. I need to know I'm not losing it. Okay, good. You heard it too. So either we're all losing it together or something really weird is happening here. Here we go again. Fourth call. Same number. My number. This time I'm ready. I'm going to ask the right questions. I'm going to get answers. All right, I'm listening. What do you want? Finally, I was beginning to think you'd never have a real conversation with me. Eerily calm. Who are you? I think you know who I am. No, I don't. I really don't. Look in the mirror by your front door. Why? Just look. Fine. I'm walking to the mirror now. I'm looking at myself. I see me. Just me. What do you see? I see myself. Brown hair, tired eyes, gray hoodie with a coffee stain. Do you remember spilling that coffee? Of course I remember. It was this morning when your phone rang. Yes, when my phone rang. But that was a normal call. My mom calling about dinner plans. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. It was my mom. Check your call history. I'm looking. This morning at 8:47 a.m. It says the call was from my own number. And yesterday morning? Yesterday, 8:47 a.m. Same thing. My own number. And the day before that? Same time. Same number. How long have I been calling you? Days? Weeks? Oh God, it goes back weeks. How did I not notice this? What questions should I ask? Help me figure this out. You did notice. Every time. And every time you forgot. That's impossible. Is it? Guys, I'm looking at my call history and it's all wrong. According to this, I've been getting calls from my own number every day for the past month, but I don't remember any of them except today. Because you choose not to remember. What does that mean? Every day, same time, same conversation. You get scared, you hang up, you forget. Then the next day, we start over. That doesn't make sense. People don't just forget things like that. Don't they? What did you have for lunch 3 Tuesdays ago? I don't know. Nobody remembers stuff like that. What did you wear yesterday? Yesterday I wore... Why can't I remember what I wore yesterday? You're going to hang up soon. No, I'm not. You're going to get scared and hang up, and tomorrow you'll forget this conversation ever happened. I won't forget. I'm streaming this live. There are hundreds of people watching. Are there? Yes, there are. There are. Look at your viewer count. How many people are really watching? The viewer count says 0, but that can't be right. I can see the chat messages. Can you? Yes, people are typing. They're asking questions. They're trying to help me figure this out. Read me the last message. The last message says, there are no messages. The chat is empty. The chat has been empty this whole time. Who have you been talking to? I... I don't know. Who are you talking to right now? Myself. That's right. You're talking to yourself. You've been talking to yourself for weeks. This isn't real. This can't be real. I was streaming. People were watching. People were in the chat helping me figure this out. Were they helping? Or were they just asking questions you already knew the answers to? They were asking what I should do next. Like they were following some kind of script. Whose script? Mine. It was my script. I made them up. I made all of it up. Why? Because I'm lonely. Because I'm so tired of being alone that I created an entire audience to talk to. Even created a horror story to make it more interesting. And the phone calls. There are no phone calls. I'm sitting here talking to myself, pretending my phone is ringing, having conversations with myself in different voices. No, wait, that's not right either. The phones are really ringing. All of them. My cell phone, the landline, even the old phone in the basement that's not even connected anymore. Which reality do you want to be true? Multiple overlapping voices now. I don't know. I don't know what's real anymore. The one where you're streaming to real people. The one where someone is watching you. Different voice. The one where you're talking to yourself. Third voice. The one where something supernatural is calling you. Fourth voice. I don't know. All of them. None of them. The chat's back. You're all back. Asking me to choose an ending like this is just a story. But what if it's not? What if right now someone watching this stream is getting a call from their own number? What if this is spreading? What if the only way this ends is if you all turn off your phones right now? All right, I see the votes coming in. This is it, the final choice. You know what? You're right. This was all just a story, a performance. Thanks for playing along, everyone. The chat, the calls, the psychological breakdown, all planned. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe check if your phone's been acting weird lately. Just kidding. Or maybe the calls haven't stopped. They're never going to stop. Because whatever's on the other end of that phone, it's not bound by reality the way we are. It exists in the spaces between seconds, in the echo after you hang up. And now that you've heard its voice, it knows about you too. Sweet dreams, everyone. Or perhaps I should probably get some help. Professional help. This whole stream talking to myself for 90 minutes, creating imaginary conversations. That's not normal, is it? Thanks for listening, even if you were never really there. I'm going to turn off the stream now and maybe call someone real. But here's the thing. I still don't know which version is true. Maybe they all are. Maybe none of them are. But I'll tell you what I do know. When I end this stream, my phone is going to ring one more time. And this time I think I'm going to let it go to voicemail. Want to know what message I'll leave for myself? Time's up. Thanks for joining me tonight, everyone. Or, thanks for listening, me. Either way.
Oh, don't go still. We have the night to spend. Let's continue our journey. 9 Tales from the Night Shift. Story 2 of 9. Story number 2, The Midnight Bus Drive. The Route Between Worlds. Marcus Williams had been driving the number 13 night bus for 6 years. But it wasn't until Tuesday at 1:23 a.m. that he realized some of his passengers weren't entirely human. The revelation came when the elderly woman in seat 7B asked to be dropped off at The corner of yesterday and never was. And Marcus found himself pulling the bus over at a street corner that definitely hadn't existed 5 minutes earlier. "Thank you, dear," the woman said, gathering her knitting bag. As she stepped off the bus, Marcus caught a glimpse of what she'd been working on. A scarf that seemed to be made of condensed starlight, with patterns that moved when he wasn't looking directly at them. The street corner flickered once, twice, then vanished the moment her feet touched the sidewalk. Marcus blinked hard, but the woman was gone too, leaving only the faint scent of lavender and something else. Something that smelled like time itself. "First night seeing them clearly?" asked a voice from the back of the bus. Marcus glanced in his rearview mirror and nearly jumped out of his skin. A man in a conductor's uniform from the 1940s was sitting in the last row, even though Marcus was absolutely certain the bus had been empty when the old woman got off. "Seeing who clearly?" Marcus managed to ask. "The passengers who ride between stops that don't exist yet." The conductor smiled, tipping his vintage cap. "I'm Thomas, by the way. Thomas Blackwood. I've been riding this route since 1943. "That's impossible. You'd be dead." "Oh, I am," Thomas chuckled. "Died in a trolley accident in 43. But I loved the job so much I just kept showing up for work. The city never bothered to tell me I was fired, so here I am 70-odd years later, still punching tickets." Marcus felt his grip tighten on the steering wheel. "This is a dream. I fell asleep at a red light and I'm dreaming." "Marcus," Thomas said gently, "when was the last time you remember starting your shift?" Marcus opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. He remembered getting in the bus, but he couldn't remember when or where. The harder he tried to focus on the beginning of his night, the more the memory slipped away like smoke. "You've been driving this route for 6 years, Thomas continued. "But have you ever wondered why the number 13 bus doesn't appear on any official city schedule? Why your paychecks come from a company that doesn't technically exist? Why you only ever work the midnight to dawn shift?" "I dot." Marcus stared at the empty road ahead. The streetlights were flickering in a pattern that seemed almost like Morse code. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying, Marcus Williams, that you're not just a bus driver, you're a ferryman. And this old bus? She's not traveling through the city. She's traveling through the spaces between realities, picking up souls who need to get from one existence to another." As if summoned by his words, the bus shuddered to a stop at a bus shelter that Marcus had never seen before. The shelter was made of what looked like crystallized moonlight, and sitting on the bench inside was a young girl in a school uniform, clutching a teddy bear that seemed to be made of shadow. The girl climbed aboard, dropping exact change into the fare box, coins that weren't from any currency Marcus recognized. She sat down in seat 3A and stared out the window with eyes that held far too much sadness for someone her age. "Next stop," she said in a voice like wind through autumn leaves, "is home. But I can't remember where that is anymore." Marcus looked back at Thomas, who nodded encouragingly. "Part of the job, my friend. Some passengers know exactly where they're going. Others need help remembering." "How do I help her remember?" Marcus whispered. "Drive," Thomas said simply. "Trust the route. The bus knows where everyone needs to go." Marcus pressed the accelerator, and the bus began moving again. But they weren't traveling through the city anymore. They were moving through something else entirely. Through his windshield, Marcus could see landscapes, that shifted and changed with each passing second. A forest of glass trees, an ocean made of liquid starlight, mountains that sang in harmonies that made his heart ache. "Where am I taking her?" he asked. "Where she belongs," the little girl answered for herself. "I died in 1987. Car accident on the way to school. I've been riding buses ever since, trying to find my way to whatever comes next." "What's your name, sweetheart?" Marcus asked, looking at her in the rearview mirror. Sarah Chen." She hugged her shadow bear tighter. "I had a sister, Maya. I wonder if she ever learned about all this, about the people who work the night shift in the spaces between worlds." Marcus felt a chill of recognition. Maya Chen. He'd heard that name recently. Where? The bus shuddered to another stop, this time at what looked like a train station made of crystallized music. But there were no trains, just platforms that stretched off into infinity, with soft lights that pulsed like heartbeats. "This is my stop," Sarah said, standing up. "Thank you, Mr. Bus Driver. Thank you for helping me remember that going home doesn't always mean going back." She walked to the front of the bus, paused and looked back at Marcus with a smile that was somehow both heartbreaking and hopeful. "Tell my sister, if you ever meet her, that I'm okay now, that I found where I belong." The doors hissed open, and Sarah stepped out onto the platform. The moment her feet touched the crystallized music, she began to glow with soft, warm light. The shadow bear in her arms transformed into something beautiful, a creature made of starlight and childhood dreams. Marcus watched as figures emerged from the infinite platforms. Other children, all glowing with the same gentle light, all welcoming Sarah home to whatever came after sorrow. The doors closed and the train station faded away. "Well done," Thomas said from the back. "First time is always the hardest." "How many more?" Marcus asked, though he found he already knew the answer. "As many as need help finding their way. Could be one more tonight, could be a dozen. The night shift never really ends, Marcus. We just keep driving until dawn comes, and then we start over again." The radio crackled to life. Not the city dispatch radio, but something else. Something that broadcast on frequencies that didn't officially exist. "All night shift operators, this is Central," came a voice that sounded like Maya from the diner. "Be advised, we have unusual activity across all sectors. Stay alert. Something big is building toward dawn." Marcus picked up the handset. "Number 13 bus responding." What kind of unusual activity? Passengers who shouldn't exist yet. Routes that lead to places that haven't been built. Times and destinations getting mixed up. Maya's voice was tense. "Someone or something is messing with the boundaries between realities. All night shift workers need to be ready for anything." "Copy that, Central." Marcus hung up the radio and looked back at Thomas. "You know what this is about?" Thomas's expression had grown serious. "Every few decades, something tries to break down the barriers completely. Usually we night shift folks can handle it. Keep things running smoothly, make sure the right souls get to the right places, maintain the balance. But this feels different. Bigger. Like all the little cracks in reality are about to become one big break." Thomas leaned forward. "Marcus, I need to tell you something about this bus, about why you were chosen to drive it." The bus lurched suddenly, and through the windshield, Marcus saw they were approaching another stop. But this one was wrong. It flickered between existing and not existing, and the figure waiting at the stop looked like it was made of television static. "That's not a passenger," Thomas whispered. "That's something else. Something that's trying to use our routes to get where it doesn't belong." Marcus felt his hands steady on the wheel. For 6 years, he'd been driving this route without really understanding it. But now, faced with something that threatened the strange, beautiful system he'd unknowingly been part of, he knew exactly what he had to do. "Hold on, Thomas," he said, pressing the accelerator. "We're not stopping for that thing." The static figure raised what might have been a hand as the bus approached, but Marcus drove straight past, the bus's engine roaring with supernatural power. "That's my boy," Thomas laughed. "A true ferryman knows the difference between a passenger and a predator." But in the rearview mirror, Marcus saw the static figure step into the road behind them. It didn't try to chase the bus, it just stood there watching as if it was memorizing their route. "It's learning," Marcus realized. "Whatever it is, it's figuring out how our transportation system works." "Then we'd better warn the others," Thomas said grimly. "Because if something hostile learns to navigate the routes between realities, it could go anywhere, anytime, any world." Marcus reached for the radio again. "Central, this is number 13. We have a problem. A big one." Maya's voice crackled back. "Copy, number 13. Report to the depot after your shift. We're calling an emergency meeting of all night shift operators." Marcus nodded, though she couldn't see him. For 6 years, he'd thought he was just driving a bus. Now he understood he was part of something much larger. A network of night shift workers who kept the boundaries between worlds intact. And something was trying to destroy it all. The bus rumbled on through the spaces between realities, carrying its driver toward dawn and whatever crisis awaited them all. In the distance, the first hints of false dawn were touching the horizon. But Marcus had the strangest feeling that tonight, the sun might not rise at all. To be continued in story number 3, The 24-Hour Laundromat Guardian.
Story number 3, The 24-Hour Laundromat Guardian. Oh, don't go still. We have the night to spend. Let's continue our journey. 9 Tales from the Night Shift. Story 3 of 9. The Cleanser of Souls. Luna Vasquez had been running Wash and Fold 24/7 for 3 years. But it wasn't until she found the blood-stained wedding dress in machine number 7 that she realized her laundromat was washing away more than just dirt. The dress had appeared overnight, folded neatly in a basket that definitely hadn't been there when she'd locked up. It was vintage, maybe 1950s, with intricate lacework that looked handmade. But the blood wasn't vintage. It was fresh, dark red, and when Luna touched it, she saw flashes of memory that weren't her own. A woman in white running through a forest, branches tearing at her dress. Behind her, something howling that didn't sound quite human. Luna jerked her hand back, heart pounding. She'd been having strange experiences lately, touching people's clothes and somehow sensing their stories, their pain, their secrets. But this was different. This felt like a memory so traumatic it had soaked into the fabric itself. First time handling a trauma load. Luna spun around to find an elderly woman sitting on the plastic chairs by the windows. She was knitting what looked like a scarf made of moonbeams, her needles clicking in a rhythm that sounded almost like a lullaby. "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you come in," Luna said, trying to keep her voice steady. Oh, I've been here for a while, dear, waiting for you to notice me. The woman smiled kindly. I'm Esther, Esther Blackwood. I used to run this place before you. But the previous owner was a man named Rodriguez. He sold it to me when he retired to Florida. Esther chuckled. Rodriguez was the front, dear, the official owner. But I was the one who really ran things. I was the guardian, just like you are now. Guardian of what? Of the souls who need their pain washed away. Esther gestured to the wedding dress. That belonged to Margaret Sinclair. She was murdered on her wedding night in 1954. The dress has been carrying her terror ever since, moving from place to place, looking for someone who could finally clean it. Luna stared at the blood-stained fabric. You mean the blood isn't just blood? It's crystallized trauma, dear. Fear and pain so intense it becomes a physical substance. It clings to fabric, to metal, to anything that was present during a moment of absolute horror. Esther's needles never stopped clicking. And places like this, 24-hour laundromats in the small hours of the night, they're where such things come to be cleansed. As if summoned by her words, the front door chimed. A young man stumbled in, clutching a gym bag that reeked of something that wasn't quite sweat. His eyes were wild, desperate. Please, he said, dropping the bag on the counter. I need these cleaned. I've tried everywhere else, but the smell won't come out. Luna unzipped the bag and immediately recoiled. The clothes inside were covered in a substance that looked like oil, but moved like it was alive. When she touched it, she saw flashes of the young man's memory. A laboratory, something breaking free from containment, screams echoing through sterile corridors. What is this? She whispered. I work at the research facility outside town, the man said, his voice shaking. There was an accident, a containment breach. 3 people died, and I couldn't save them. The guilt, it's eating me alive. It's literally eating me alive. He rolled up his sleeve, and Luna saw that his skin was covered in the same oily substance. It started on my clothes, and now it's spreading. Esther looked up from her knitting. Survivor's guilt, she said matter-of-factly. Nasty stuff. Left untreated, it'll consume him completely within a week. Can you help him? Luna asked. I can't, dear, but you can. Esther smiled. That's why the laundromat chose you. You have the gift. Luna felt something stirring inside her, a knowledge she didn't remember learning, skills she'd never been taught. Her hands moved without conscious thought, selecting detergents that seemed to glow with inner light, setting temperatures that shouldn't exist on any normal washing machine. What am I doing? She asked as she loaded the man's clothes into machine number 12. What you were born to do, Esther replied. You're not just washing clothes, Luna. You're washing souls. The machine began to fill with water, but it wasn't normal water. It shimmered with colors that had no names, and when it touched the contaminated clothes, Luna could hear something like screaming. But not from the man, from the guilt itself being stripped away layer by layer. How long have you been able to see people's memories in their clothes? Esther asked. Since I was a kid, Luna admitted. I thought everyone could do it. My grandmother always said I was just imaginative. Your grandmother knew exactly what you were, dear. She probably had the gift too. It runs in families, the ability to see trauma, to cleanse it, to give people a fresh start. Esther's needles clicked faster. The question is, are you ready to accept what you are? The washing machine chimed, and Luna opened it to find the man's clothes completely clean. Not just of the oily substance, but of something deeper. They looked brand new, as if they'd never been worn. The young man's skin had cleared too. The gilt creature was gone, leaving him looking exhausted but human again. "Thank you," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I feel clean. For the first time in months, I feel clean." He paid with cash that seemed to shimmer in the fluorescent light, then left, walking straighter than when he'd come in. "Well done," Esther said. "Now about that wedding dress." Luna approached machine number 7 with new understanding. She could feel the trauma radiating from the blood-stained fabric, decades of unfinished business, a soul that couldn't rest. "Margaret Sinclair," she said softly as she loaded the dress, "I'm going to help you find peace." This time, she didn't just add detergent. She added something else. Herbs that Esther had somehow provided, salts that gleamed like starlight, and water that had been blessed by every religion she could think of. As the machine filled, Luna felt a presence in the laundromat. Not threatening, but grateful. A woman in white, translucent and shimmering, standing by the folding tables. "Thank you," the ghost whispered. "I've been waiting so long for someone who could see me." The washing machine ran its cycle, and with each turn of the drum, Margaret's spirit grew brighter, more solid, more at peace. When it finished, the dress was pristine. Not just clean, but somehow renewed, as if time itself had been washed away. Margaret smiled, her form beginning to fade. "Tell my sister, if you ever meet her, that I'm not in pain anymore, that I've found my way to the light." She disappeared, leaving only the scent of orange blossoms and the sound of distant wedding bells. Luna pulled the dress from the machine, and it was beautiful. No trace of blood, no echo of trauma. Just a lovely vintage gown that someone could wear again with joy. "You're a natural," Esther said approvingly. "But Luna, dear, I need to warn you about something." "What?" "The trauma you wash away doesn't just disappear. It has to go somewhere. And lately, something's been collecting it, gathering up all the pain and fear and guilt that places like this cleanse from people's souls." Luna felt a chill. "Collecting it for what? That's what we need to find out." Esther stood, folding her moonbeam scarf. "There's going to be a meeting soon. All the night shift workers. We're going to need to work together to stop whatever's building." The radio on Luna's counter crackled to life. The emergency frequency she'd never used but somehow knew how to operate. "All night shift operators," came Maya's voice from the diner. "Emergency meeting at dawn. Bring any unusual samples or evidence you've collected. Something's gathering power from our operations." Luna looked around her laundromat, at the machines that could wash away trauma, at the supplies that could cleanse souls, at the space that had become a sanctuary for those carrying unbearable burdens. "I'll be there," she said into the radio. "That's my girl," Esther smiled, even as her form began to fade like Margaret's had. "You'll do fine, dear. Just remember, everyone deserves a fresh start, even the ones who don't think they do." And with that, Esther was gone, leaving only the scent of lavender and the distant sound of knitting needles. Luna stood alone in her laundromat, surrounded by machines that were so much more than they appeared. Outside, the night was deep and full of secrets, but inside she had created a place where those secrets could be washed clean. The front door chimed again, and another customer entered, a woman clutching a baby blanket that radiated such profound grief it made Luna's heart ache. "Please," the woman whispered. "My daughter, she's been gone for 3 months. I can't stop crying into this blanket, and now it's making everyone in my house cry too. Can you help?" Luna smiled gently, understanding flooding through her. "Of course, that's what we're here for." She got to work, preparing another load of healing, another chance for someone to find peace. Outside, dawn was still hours away, and she had a feeling this was going to be a very long night. But for the first time in her life, Luna knew exactly where she belonged. To be continued in story number 4, The Graveyard Shift Nurse.
Story number 4. The Collector. Stay tuned. The first time I saw the music box, I should have walked away. That's what haunts me the most. I had that moment of choice, that split second where every instinct in my body screamed danger and I ignored it. I've replayed that decision 1,000 times, wondering if things would have been different if I'd just listened to that voice in my head. It was a Saturday morning in October, the kind of crisp autumn day that makes you believe the world is full of possibilities. I was walking through the Riverside neighborhood, one of those old money areas where the houses sit back from the street like sleeping giants, when I saw the estate sale sign. The house was a massive Victorian, the kind with too many windows and shadows that seem to move when you're not looking directly at them. I'm not usually one for estate sales. Too depressing, picking through the remnants of someone's life, but something pulled me up that long driveway. Maybe it was the way the morning light hit the windows, or maybe it was something else entirely. Something I still don't understand. The sale was busy, full of dealers and bargain hunters, rifling through boxes of china and jewelry. I was browsing through a table of books when I heard it, a melody so beautiful it made my chest ache. I followed the sound to a corner table where a woman in her 70s was winding up a small music box. The box itself was extraordinary. Dark mahogany wood carved with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as you looked at them. But it was the ballerina inside that stopped me cold. She was unlike any music box dancer I'd ever seen. Perfectly proportioned, painted with impossible detail, her face so lifelike she almost seemed to be breathing. "Beautiful, isn't it?" the woman said, noticing my stare. "This belonged to my granddaughter, Rebecca. She passed away last month." "I'm sorry for your loss," I said automatically, but I couldn't take my eyes off the dancing figure. The woman's expression grew distant. Rebecca was special, obsessed with music boxes from the time she was 5 years old. She had over 100 of them by the time she died. This was her first and her favorite. How did she... I started to ask, then caught myself. "I'm sorry, that's not my business." "No, it's all right," the woman said, though her voice wavered. "She killed herself." Rebecca was 17, and she killed herself in her bedroom, surrounded by all those music boxes. We found her the next morning, and every single box was playing. Over 100 of them all at once. A shiver ran down my spine. That's terrible. The strange thing was, the woman continued, staring at the spinning ballerina, we couldn't turn them off. They played for 3 days straight after we found her. The police said it was some kind of electrical malfunction, but... She shook her head. Rebecca always said the music boxes talked to her. I thought it was just imagination. I should have put the box down then. Should have walked away, offered my condolences, and left. Instead, I heard myself asking, "How much?" $50, she said quietly. Though I have to warn you, Rebecca was very particular about who could appreciate her collection. She used to say the boxes chose their owners, not the other way around. I bought it anyway. The drive home was uneventful, but I kept glancing at the music box sitting in my passenger seat. Every time I looked, the ballerina seemed to be in a slightly different position, even though the box was closed and the mechanism wasn't running. Tricks of light and shadow, I told myself. My imagination running wild after that strange conversation. My apartment felt different when I walked in with the music box. Smaller somehow, like the walls had moved closer together. I placed it on my coffee table and sat back on my couch, just staring at it. There was something almost hypnotic about the carved patterns on the wood. The way they seemed to flow and dance even when perfectly still. I opened the box. The melody that poured out was unlike anything I'd ever heard. Not the simple tinkling tune you'd expect from a music box, but something complex and layered with harmonies that seemed impossible for such a small mechanism to produce. The ballerina began her dance, and I swear she looked directly at me as she spun. Her painted eyes held mine with an intensity that made my breath catch. That night, I dreamed of dancing. Not normal dreams. These were vivid, almost overwhelming experiences where I was the one spinning endlessly to that haunting melody. I could feel the music in my bones, could taste it in the air around me. When I woke, my sheets were soaked with sweat and the music box was playing. I was sure I'd closed it before going to bed. Over the next few days, the dreams intensified. I began to dread sleep, but I also craved it. Desperate to return to that ethereal ballroom where the music never stopped and the dancing never ended. I started leaving work early, ignoring calls from friends, spending hours just sitting with the music box, listening to that impossible melody. It was on the fourth night that I first heard her voice. I was half asleep on my couch, the music box playing on this coffee table in front of me, when I heard someone whisper my name. The voice was young, female, and seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "David," it said again, and I sat up, suddenly wide awake. The apartment was empty, but the voice continued, barely audible above the music. "You can hear me, can't you? You're different from the others." I stared at the spinning ballerina, and I swear her lips moved as the voice spoke. "My name is Rebecca. This is my music box, but now it's yours too. We're going to do such beautiful things together." I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt a strange sense of peace, like I'd finally found something I'd been searching for my whole life without knowing it. "What do you want?" I whispered. "I want to dance," Rebecca's voice replied. "I want to collect beautiful music, and I want to share it with someone who understands." "You understand, don't you, David?" I did understand. That was the most frightening part. It all made perfect sense to me. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove across town to an antique shop I'd noticed before but never visited. Inside, I found 3 more music boxes, each one called pointing to a box shaped like a miniature piano. Belonged to a young woman who died tragically. The family said she was obsessed. I bought all 3 boxes and took them home. That night, I arranged them around Rebecca's box on my coffee table and opened them one by one. The melodies blended together in perfect harmony, creating a symphony more beautiful than anything I'd ever heard. And that's when I met the others. Jennifer appeared first, her voice joining Rebecca's in the music. Then came Thomas, who had died at 25 with a collection of over 60 music boxes. Then Maria, who had thrown herself from a bridge at 30, leaving behind a room full of dancing figurines and heartbroken music. They were all there, all of them collectors who had loved music so much they couldn't bear to leave it behind. And they welcomed me like family. "You're one of us now," Rebecca whispered as the ballerinas and couples and lone dancers spun in their endless ballet. "You understand what the music means. You understand that some things are too beautiful to let go." My days blurred together after that. I stopped going to work, stopped answering my phone, stopped caring about anything except the music. I would spend hours listening to the boxes, talking with Rebecca and the others, learning about the pieces I still needed to find. They guided me to estate sales and antique shops, whispering directions in my ear as I drove through the city. Each new acquisition brought another voice, another soul who had been too devoted to their collection to move on. My apartment filled with music boxes, dozens, then hundreds of them, covering every surface, hanging from the wall, stacked on the floor. The music never stopped. I don't remember eating during those weeks. I don't remember sleeping, though I must have, because I kept having those dreams of dancing, of spinning forever in a ballroom filled with the most beautiful music imaginable. In the dreams, I could see them all. Rebecca and Jennifer and Thomas and Maria and all the others, dancing together in perfect harmony. "Soon," Rebecca would whisper, "soon you'll be able to join us properly." I knew what she meant. Part of me had always known from the moment I first heard that impossible melody. I was becoming part of the collection, just like they had. The thought should have horrified me, but instead it filled me with a strange sense of completion. It was my neighbor who finally called the police. Mrs. Henderson, the sweet old lady next door, had been worried about the constant music coming from my apartment. When the officers arrived, they found me sitting in the center of a room filled with over 300 music boxes, all playing at once, all in perfect harmony. They said I was catatonic, staring at the spinning figurines with a smile on my face. They said I'd lost over 30 pounds and hadn't paid rent in 2 months. They said the music was so loud they could hear it from the street. But when they entered the apartment, all the boxes went silent at once. They took me to the hospital, diagnosed me with a psychotic break brought on by stress and isolation. The doctors were kind but dismissive when I tried to explain about Rebecca and the others. They gave me medication and therapy and eventually released me to a halfway house across town. The music boxes were sold at auction to pay my debts. That was 6 months ago. I've been clean since then. No music boxes, no estate sales, no antique shops. I take my medication, go to my therapy sessions, work at a bookstore downtown. I've built what the doctors call a healthy routine. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear the music. It drifts through my window like fog, that same impossible melody that started it all. And I know Rebecca is still out there, still collecting, still looking for someone who understands. The boxes are scattered now, spread across the city to new owners who don't know what they've brought home. But they'll learn, they always do. Just last week, I read about a woman named Sarah who bought a music box at an estate sale. They found her 3 days later in her apartment, surrounded by dozens of boxes, all playing the same haunting melody. The police said she seemed peaceful, almost happy, though she couldn't be revived. The collection is growing again, and sometimes in my weakest moments I miss it. I miss the music and the dancing and the sense of belonging to something beautiful and eternal. I miss Rebecca's voice whispering my name, miss the promise of joining the endless ballet. My therapist says these feelings will pass, that I'm making excellent progress. But she doesn't understand what I've lost, what I've walked away from. She doesn't know that every day I resist the urge to visit the antique shops, to listen for that telltale melody that calls to collectors like me. Because once you've heard the music, really heard it, everything else sounds like silence. And the silence is unbearable. More adventures await in our continuing series. Join our growing channel Silent Soul Scripts by liking, subscribing, and sharing these stories with fellow readers. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's live horror story. I'm so pumped you're all here. We're doing something different tonight. A 90-minute psychological thriller that's going to mess with your head. So here's the setup. I'm home alone tonight, just chilling on the couch, scrolling through social media. You know the drill. It's about 9 p.m., kinda dark outside, pretty quiet neighborhood. Just me and you guys hanging out. How's everyone doing tonight? Anyone else home alone right now? Anyway, I was just thinking about ordering some food when... Oh, hold on guys, my phone's ringing. That's weird. The caller ID says... Wait, that can't be right. It's showing my number. Like, my own phone number is calling me. That's... How does that even work? Has this ever happened to any of you guys? Getting a call from your own number? I mean, I should probably answer it, right? Maybe it's some kind of technical glitch or something. Hello? Hello? Anyone there? And they hung up. Weird. Probably just some telemarketer spoofing my number or something. I've heard that happens. Sorry about that, guys. Where was I? Oh yeah, thinking about food. You know what? Let me Google this phone thing real quick. I'm curious now. Okay, so apparently it's called neighbor spoofing, when scammers use numbers similar to yours, but call in from your exact number. That's less common. Says here it could be a technical glitch with the phone network, or anyone in chat know about this stuff? IT people, help me out here. Or it could be someone who's cloned your SIM card, which is actually kind of scary when you think about it. Like, they'd have access to all your calls and texts and... Oh, come on. Same number again. Guys, this is definitely my number calling me. I can see it right there on the screen. You know what? I'm gonna let it ring. Maybe if I ignore it, they'll just give up. It's still going. Usually goes to voicemail after 5 rings. Finally. Okay, that was definitely longer than normal. My voicemail should have picked up by now. Let me check if they left a message. Nope. No voicemail. That's actually kind of creepy, not gonna lie. All right, guys, I'm trying not to let this get to me. But it's definitely weird, right? Like I keep thinking about what I read online.